Alright guys, so I kind of was going to do a video of some of the horns that I acquired earlier this year, but I never got the chance to do it, mainly because I just bought that brand new thing right here. And, well, you know, things happen and you really can't get to doing them, so at least I'm getting to it now, and these horns have really been sitting around the basement for far too long. Haven't had any air in them since probably the beginning of the year, so I said it's time to break them out and show you guys what I've acquired since literally almost last year. This was the first horn that I bought. I literally bought two horns at the exact same time, but technically I paid for this one first. So this is my RS3KR. This has ex-BN heritage. It came off of a BN GP50. And I kind of call this Mutt only because the 31 bell is not original to it. The Tampa heads are not original to this horn. And the other real kicker to this whole horn is this. It has a 64 date stamp on it and a bronze tag, Lynhurst tag. So I would love to have seen what this horn looked like in its original form, probably. All the nice goodies with probably aluminum tab back chambers. This is kind of what we've talked about on the Facebook group. I've had pictures of it up before when we've talked about it. Kind of thought what would it have been like, and whether any of the stuff was original to it. And what I found out from previous owners is that the 31 bell was not original to this horn when I got it. It originally came out of service with a 31 bell in primer. Don't know if it was closed circle or any of that fun stuff. So had a 31 bell in primer. Came with RS heads, Tampa heads, and I thought maybe because of the way the paint and weatherization, flaking, all that stuff, I thought maybe some of this was original to it, but not the case. So, but anyway, I really like this horn. It sounds really good, other than the fact that the 41 bell is kind of dominant in itself, and the only reason that this whole horn is kind of sounds flat in relative terms to what most sound like is because this all has number 3 dowels. So I've gotten on order-ish a number 2 dowel that I'm going to put in the 31 bell during the winter this year, and we'll see how much that changes the sound of it. But I do have recordings of this horn on a run-by. You can look at Arlington Horn Hawk, and that has a good run-by, but it's all on solenoid, so what can you really do about it? Hopefully I can get another run-by with it on sort of a 2-stage setup, and that would be nice. So, hi kitty. That is that for the RS3K. Okay guys, so this is the second horn that I bought, literally right at the exact same time as the RS3K, and this is this giant honking thing, the RS5T RRO. It also is in its correct configuration, well, the more correctly known configuration with the 4455 bell reversal. This was not how I got it. it came all bells forward, and the guy that I had originally bought it from got it off eBay for $400, which, as anybody knows in the horn community, that is an absolute freaking steal for this horn. They had originally bought it. I think it came on. It was under steering wheel parts and all that fun stuff, so that's why really nobody ever saw it. They originally bought it to see if it had patent applied for heads, and it did not. So this horn, it kind of served no purpose to them, and plus the 31 bell was kind of giving them issues, and they didn't know what was up. So when I got it home, I kind of looked around. I put it on the horn stand and gave it a few test honks, and I noticed I didn't get anything out of the 31 bell. And after kind of looking around, I took it off, and I realized that CSX, in their infinite wisdom, took this, when they put it back on, it wasn't lining up to the dowel pin at all. So the head had to be turned around, and the back cap had to be turned around in order to be in the correct orientation. So after that, it sounded fine. I put new gaskets and new donuts in it, and it sounds perfectly awesome. And it just has an awesome growl to it if you ever get the chance to hear it in person. And what I do want to highlight real quick is the paint marks here. If you can see underneath all the 50 shades of blue, this has like all kinds of different shades. It has the dark future in it, has bright future, and probably the earlier CSX versions of this blue. And then underneath it, somewhat, I don't know if it's gray or not, but I know for a fact that I think it's the bare metal, but there is definitely black underneath this. And the only railroad that I knew of, or the only at least two railroads I can think of, is Seaboard Coastline and Clinchfield. So my biggest guess is that this is probably an ex-Seaboard Coastline engine, and there were a couple of Seaboard Coastline engines that didn't get painted into the Seaboard colors at the time of the CSX merger, so it's very, very possible that this was just a straight from black to a blue. And yeah, so this horn is exceptionally awesome. I'll give you a shot of the tag, and let's see, where's the date? Right there, HB, which, as we all know, is second quarter of 1981. So that's the RS5T RRO. Alright kids, so this was the third horn that I purchased after I bought those two. It was about a month later. There's just no words to describe it, honestly. A 1978 big Tag K5LA. Now, how I know it's a 1978 is because well, for one, I don't see cork gaskets on the feet of the bell, so there's kind of one sign, but that doesn't necessarily hold it back from being a 77, which, as most of you guys should know, a 1977 K5LA would have came with a different kind of tag. I've seen some with the same printed tag like this, but this is a replacement tag. This is a replacement tag by Eric Marks. And the person that last owned this before me replaced the tag on it. So it's not really a huge deal, because kind of what you think of is you really buy a big tag for the whole purpose of, you know, seeing the tag. So in that sense, that's what the previous owner told me, and I kind of understood that. So I wasn't really going to complain too much. The two bells are bored to the correct depth on the 1977s. This one is actually got no bore on it, but as I have shown in pictures, the inner part of the throat is kind of rounded off. And that's something I've not seen on any of my other K5s. So it's kind of one of those interesting things that I threw out there. It also would have had a 77s would have had a 5 bell with a bass restrictor in it, and this one does not have that. So it does have a large bore 5 bell though. Excuse me. And the 3 and 4A bells are unmarked. I would show you the 4A, but I can't get to it. And has upright manifold upright manifold numbers, wide front back caps. I don't know what else to tell you. Just it kind of speaks for itself. And I've kind of said it before. This horn can be temperamental, given temperature and air pressure. It sort of depends on the day. Some days it sounds really good. Some days it's okay, but it just depends. And the 1 bell is usually the deciding factor in this, and that's what I've kind of learned with this horn. The few times that I've put air to it, it has a temperamental sound with the 1 bell, and that's not a huge problem. But it's kind of like the best time for it to be on air is in the summer when it's 70 degrees out and, you know, it's not really super humid outside. So that's that. Now the story with this horn is that I bought this off of Andrew Schaefer, and it took me forever to convince him to sell me this. But after I got it anyways, I asked him the story on it, and he told me that this horn and a number board came from the same exact town. And I guess he told me that it was a C&O horn, but after I looked at the number board and saw that the number board had said 4365, I went and looked, and the only thing in Chessie at that time would have been Western Maryland, and it was a GP40-2. So it was close to being a C&O horn, but if it kind of lines up with that number board coming from the same small town that this did, then I'm going to assume that this is a Western Maryland K5LA. And that doesn't hurt my feelings none. The fact that it's still Chessie makes me extremely happy, and considering I live near a Chessie line, it just kind of makes sense to have this horn in my collection. So without much further ado, I'll sound it off. Alright, so the last thing that I have up is, I think I bought this in May or April, sometime in there. Got this off of eBay. This is a K5HL, technically R2, or however many bells you want to turn around. This is the older style K5HL with the 2-piece 1L bell, and this does not have raised letter bells at all whatsoever, so that's kind of nice, and it sounds really good for a older K5HL. The serial number on it, round tag as well, It's 47,300. Paint's covered, or the tag's covered in paint, so as long as I could read the serial number, that's all I was happy with. I think due to the black paint, we're kind of assuming maybe XBNSF. Not sure, but we'll just kind of fly with that. When I got this horn, the 2 and the 4 bells were unattached and did not come with the hardware to put it on there, so I had to run to the hardware store, and that ended up costing me $6 to get 4 bolts and 6 washers, 2 of which that obviously I didn't use. And when I first put this on the stand to test it, I had it in all bells forward configuration, and what happened the first time around was the 3-bell shot water out of it, and I'm glad I was standing sort of to the side when this happened, so I didn't really get as wet. And that was kind of my signal to me that, okay, maybe the internals need to be cleaned. And that only took about one afternoon to do that, and then the next day I went out and gave it a good honk, and it sounds a whole lot better than it did before I cleaned it. And I do have a video of that, so I can show you that, but the video is in its R2 configuration. So, oh well, not a big deal. I'm going to use the previous recording that I did just yesterday for this horn, because it really represents what this horn sounds like, and yeah. This also has the notch in it as well, just so you know.